What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the HBCU NFL Report, brought to you guys by HBCU Game Day, Week 10 edition, and me and Lute are here to recap it with you all and bring you some exciting news. Lute, we have three former, and probably counting at this point, by this point it's probably three and counting, three former HBCU players getting a chance, drafted into the XFL. This is a podcast talking about former Black college stars in the pros, and the XFL is the pros too, so we got to show these guys some love.
Absolutely. And the three well-known in the HBCU ranks. One is Jaquez Ezzard, a former Howard University all-conference wide receiver, all MEAC wide receiver, who after he left Howard, he went down to Sam Houston State, won an FCS championship at Sam Houston State. And then I think his senior year went back to the championship game, but they did lose. He was in the camp for the Washington Redskins, but he got cut very early. I think he got hurt. Jaquez is a small guy, but very tough. He was the most exciting player and the most explosive player when he was at Howard out of the MEAC. But he signed with the DC franchise of the XFL. The other guy is Jermaine Martin. He was a 1,500-yard, 20-touchdown guy his junior year at North Carolina A&T, and after the pandemic year, he came back, was kind of hurt. Many projected him as probably being one of the guys who would get drafted in the NFL, but he had a subpar final season at North Carolina A&T. It's good to see that he'll get another opportunity as he was picked up by the Orlando franchise, drafted at the Orlando franchise of the XFL. And the last one is Justin Smith, a wide receiver out of Norfolk State, who also signed in the XFL or was drafted in the XFL. He'll be going to the Houston franchise. So three guys who made a mark in the MEAC. All three of these guys made a mark in the MEAC. Now we'll get a chance to make some money playing in the XFL.
So, like you said, big names from the HBCU football scene. We're going to see those guys in the XFL. The XFL is supposed to be totally rebooted, revamped. It's supposed to be a whole new vibe. So it'll be exciting to see what those guys do there. So those are, veterans, graduates, guys that moved on. But now we have some guys who are currently in college with an opportunity to have a chance at the NFL Draft, 2023 NFL Draft. It starts with these big invites. So Fort Valley State University running back Emmanuel Wilson, he got invited to the NFL PA Collegiate Bowl. He is a junior, as listed on the roster, which is, he's junior listed on the roster, but he's invited to the Collegiate Bowl, so he's eligible for that. Then two Jackson State players, Aubrey Miller, linebacker, he got invited to the Reese Senior Bowl. Shane Hooks, wide receiver for the Tigers, he got invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl. And Isaiah Land, for the FAMU Rattlers, he got invited to the Reese Senior Bowl. So a lot of invites coming out.
Yeah, let's talk about Wilson. He was just selected last week as the Player of the Year and the Offensive Player of the Year out of the SIAC at Fort Valley State. He led the conference in rushing, in all-purpose yards, as well as in touchdowns. I think he had 17 touchdowns. He's only behind Jada Byers of Virginia Union in the HBCU rushing stats. But as you said, he's mentioned and listed as a junior. He's actually a transfer from Johnson C. Smith. He ran for right at or over 1,000 yards in his freshman year at Johnson C. Smith. It was very exciting, but decided to transfer down to Fort Valley State. Now, I haven't read the details in terms of why he would be invited here when he's listed as a junior, but maybe he's decided to come out early. The other guys, as you said, Hooks and Miller, Aubrey Miller out of Jackson State. Hooks has been one of the favorite targets of Shedeur Sanders this year, particularly in the last few games. Dallas Daniels started as his favorite receiver. Hooks has been the guy for the second half of the season. So interesting to see both of them. Aubrey Miller, a hard-hitting linebacker, probably the anchor of their defense. A transfer, I think he's a transfer from Missouri. This is his second or third year playing for Jackson State. So, Isaiah Land, the Buck Buchanan, FCS Defensive Player of the Year a year ago with 19 sacks for Florida A&M. He's going to be highly sought after, quick, fast, tall, slim, edge rusher he will probably also be invited to the combine. Usually if you go to the Senior Bowl, you're going to see him at the combine. So these guys are very, very much draftable.
So let's see, Luke. We could be talking about them on one of our teams in a few months here. And I know we could use some edge rushing over here. I know that.
Yeah,
but let's segue into our NFL Week 10 Players of the Week. Luke, shout out to you. Shout out to your team. At least one team in the state of Pennsylvania did something right this week. But Luke, this is a hard topic for me. Go ahead.
Well, I know the hard topic is because your Eagles lost to the Washington Commanders. The Commanders played an outstanding game, but
thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that, Luke. Wow.
But our defensive player of the week actually comes from your Eagles again, and that's Javon, the Grave Digger Hargrave. He had a career high 13 tackles, 11 of them solos. Now, I'm not sure if that says so much about the way he played or the fact that they made and had so much success running the ball against the Eagles defensive line. Obviously, minus Jordan Davis, your first round pick out of Georgia. I'm sure it was a tough game to watch. I think it surprised everyone that the Commanders could come out and play that well, particularly on both sides of the ball. So first loss for the Eagles, no big deal. You get over it. They're still in first place in the division, even though I can see
in the league, Luke. We're still first in the league.
I'm sorry, in the league. You got the best record in the NFC, so I can see the worried look on your face. But
in the NFL, not just NFC. But yeah, Javon balling. You know what the problem is? Fletcher Cox wasted space beside him. That's the problem.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, they talked today about that they got pushed around on the offensive line. So I guess if Hargrave had 13 tackles and he led the team, and it's rare that Hargrave leads the team in tackles. He usually has, half a dozen, maybe at the most, but to get 13 tackles, and the Commanders did run the ball a lot. But let's go on. The offensive player of the week and the defensive player of the week, offensive player of the week this week, is Kadaro Hodge out of Atlanta Falcons, out of Prairie View A&M. And he's the player of the week this week because just like the guys before him, veterans, HBCU veterans who got their first interceptions, Danny Johnson out of Southern for Washington, the Commanders, a couple of weeks ago. And a week before that, it was Antonio Hamilton out of South Carolina State for Arizona. They got their first interceptions after 5 and 6 years in the league. Well, Kadaro Hodge has been in the league 6 years, and he got his first touchdown reception, albeit it was a loss, 25-15 to Carolina, as the Falcons continue to struggle. But it was a big reception for him. Obviously, he got a game ball for that. This week, he's our special team as well as our offensive player of the week. So hats off to Kadaro Hodge for getting that first touchdown.
Shout out. A lot of firsts, Luke, and I just hope Grover Stewart don't have no firsts next week. That's all I'm saying. He can have his first in week 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. But please, Grover Stewart, no career games week 11.
That tells me who you all are playing next week. But Grover Stewart, the fact that you mentioned him, continues to play well. He's actually, it seems to me, he stepped up with Shaquille Leonard being out of the lineup, still hurt. He had another 5-6 tackles this week and another sack. He's got 3 sacks on the season. By the way, Hargrave also had a sack in his game. He's up to 6 and 6 in the last 3 weeks. So he went from 3 weeks ago to 2 weeks ago, and then this week he also had a sack. So he's up to 6 sacks. So both of those big guys are playing well, both Grover Stewart and Javon Hargrave.
Well, Luke, that's week 10 for you. We had a lot to get into when it came to the invites, when it came to the XFL, and then, of course, our players of the week. We're rolling a week 11 on the HBCU NFL report, brought to you guys by HBCU Game Day. Thank you guys so much for joining us.